Hello, hello,
Hey,
hello.
hey, hey, hey.
Hey, honey.
Hey, how's it going, baby?
It's going good. It's going good. Oh, my goodness. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So, as you guys can see, James and I, we're in two different places. So, I'm in NYC celebrating Mother's Day. My kids say Mother's Day weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend. Celebrating Mother's Day weekend with my kids.
And I am at home
So,
alone.
do you miss me?
I'm not gonna answer that because you take that and you try to twist it around on me.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Oh my gosh, you guys. Anyway, so I'm up here having a ball. I'm enjoying myself. My kids spoil me so very much. So I'm just ecstatic about what the rest of the weekend will bring. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pillow Talk Lounge with the Greens. I'm Cynthia Greene, and
And you
you're
know who I am. I'm James Greene.
yes, and we have been nicknamed America's favorite couple.
And we're the
So
co-founders of Marriage Built to Last.
there you go, there you go, there you go. So how y'all doing this morning? How's everybody doing? What y'all up to today? You know, in Maryland and up here in New York, New Jersey, it is pouring down. So is it raining on your side of the world? Let us know. Is it raining where you are? Because it's raining where we are. What's it doing over there?
I
Hmm?
think it's raining all on the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that. Well, woe be me. So you guys, what y'all got? What y'all eating for breakfast? Y'all know I like to know what you eat for breakfast. Babe, did you cook breakfast this morning?
I sure did.
Oh, I didn't have any breakfast. I'm drinking my tea. I'm having a cup of tea. Um, But I got a little bit of snack. I got these little things. Wait, how did I get over there? These little things called almond pops. So they're all natural. So they're like little rice cakes with almonds and nuts in it. So I got a little snack. But we're going to, I think we're going to brunch, lunch. We're going to lunch in a little bit. So you guys, I'm excited about today's topic. This month, the month of May, our theme all month long is about marriage and business. So you know, love and business. When love meets business, we're talking about business. We're talking about careers. We're talking about entrepreneurs. You know, when business or your career, your job, and your marriage and your relationship all gets tangled up and the priorities are out of order. We're going to just talk a little bit
Right.
about how to get that stuff back in order and get back on track.
Right, because you know, baby, that there's times when both couples may have a 9 to 5 entering business together. Then you may have it where one has a business and one works a regular job, or when both of them have separate businesses. There's a lot of entities that goes into effect when you have business and maybe your personal life. It's like a balancing act. Sometimes it's hard to balance both of them together, especially when say it could be two separate businesses and two 9 to 5s, because couples always have a hard time battling personal life as it is with work. Say we don't even include the business aspect in it. Say both parties have, say, a 9 to 5 job. It's hard enough balancing that with their personal life, let alone throw a business into it. Because sometimes the parties may work different shifts and they don't get to have that much time together. And also, when you throw a business into there, a lot of times business can take up a lot of time. If you get your business up and running, it takes a lot to run your own business. whether it's a brick and mortar building or whether it's, virtual or online, whatever the case may be, it takes a lot to get your business off the ground and going. And so when you get your business off the ground, when you get it going, what happens? Sometimes your personal life takes a hit. So the key is to try to balance both of them together.
That's right. So I just want to recognize that we have Dr. Tashika Greene with us this morning. And I'm like really surprised because she has a big event coming up today at 1 o'clock. She's having a moms and me tea party today at 1 o'clock. So Tashika, can you post the link to your tea party in the group so that those who would like to join today can come? Y'all, it's a royal affair. So, put on your little hat, which I forgot to bring to New York, and put on your cute little summer outfit, have you some tea and crumpets. We're going to have a mom's tea party today, and it is going to be fun. She's got some amazing people, including me, who will be a part of it today, sharing a little bit. But Tashika, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you got a lot going on, getting prepared for your event. And I'm ready. I got my stuff set up, Tashika. I'm ready to come to the tea party today. It's virtual, you guys. It's virtual, so anybody can join. So I hope she'll post the link in the group. But you guys, so today we're talking about love and business. And like James said, a lot of times we get married, we may already be entrepreneurs, but maybe it was still a thorn in one of your sides before you even got married, and you just didn't resolve it before you got married. You could be in a relationship and the person you're dating has a business and you just don't understand why they always got to be doing something, and you feel like their business comes before you. That's not always true. Or maybe you're married and you have a business as a woman and your husband doesn't understand the time and effort and energy that you put into your business, or he doesn't understand your vision or where you're going, or your husband has a business and you as a wife feel like he's so busy in his business, he doesn't help with the kids, he doesn't help around the home. Like he's not doing anything to support you. And so then also maybe each of you got a different business. Like the wife has a business or the man has a business, the woman has a business, and it's like you guys are passing in the night because you're both so busy working on your business. So, or maybe you're in business together. Maybe, okay, so then the other scenario is you're in business together, like James and I. Honey, we're in business.
You know what? But baby, when you think of that, just think of if one of the parties is the wife or the husband, or before they even enter into a relationship, one of them had a business. Mm-hmm. And they explain that to the person that, here's what I do. You're dating, you explain to them, here's what I do. Here's my business. And then the other person says, okay, I understand, I'll support you in this business. If we get married, and you can still have your business, and I'll support you in that because you had the business before we met, before we got together. Then all of a sudden you get married or you enter into a relationship, and now you feel left out because you feel that they're spending so much time in that business and they're neglecting you. Even though you knew they had that business from the very beginning before you entered into the relationship, and you said you understand, you said you could deal with it, you could adjust to it, but now you're feeling a little left out or feeling neglected because they're spending all that time getting their business going. So where does that leave you? Why do you feel that way when you know they had the business from the very beginning?
Right. And you know what? I've actually known people who were dating, and the woman would say, oh no, we're not talking anymore because his business was more important than me, or his job was more important than me. Like, he's always at work or he has to go to work. And that may be true, especially when you're dating. I mean, come on, if you're building a career or you have a career, sometimes in the dating process, that business has been your lifeline. It's been all you had to turn to. So
you knew that they had the business when you were dating, and you still chose to enter into a relationship or enter into the marriage when you know that person already had the business, and you said you'll adjust to it. So what happens? And I feel, well, I know we both feel that that's when you need to sit down and talk about, okay, here's the roles that we need to play. Here's the roles that I have to adjust to if you have a business and we're entering into a relationship. And now I know you're going to be busy. I know, we may not spend as much time together because you're trying to get that business off the ground, or that business may take a priority until you get it going fully, or until you hire help, whatever the case may be. You knew that in the beginning, but you still chose to enter into this relationship, or you still chose to get married.
Right. And then also what I'm saying is that I've known people walk away from relationship because they felt like they put the business or their career first. And sometimes you don't give that person a chance, because if you're single and that's been your passion, that's been all that you had to lean on, all that you had to do, of course it's first. But it takes a while in a relationship before you can make that shift, because it's just like when you're married and you start a business. And you remember me, babe, I was on my laptop and working on that business around the clock, morning, noon, night, day, like all the time. And you were like, you still working? I'm like, yeah, I got to do this and this. And sometimes you're at a place to where you're either making a shift, or you're trying to make it work, or you just got
Right.
just so many pieces that you're trying to pull together, and you're not thinking about other things. So when you're dating someone or in a relationship or you're married, like James says, there has to be a shift at some time, at a
Right.
mindset shift, to say, if your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend is complaining that you're always so busy, you're always doing something in your business. At some point, you have to think, okay, is this business more important than my relationship? Like, is this relationship important to me? Do I really want to date this person? Or in my marriage, do I really want to see my marriage take a turn for the worse? Let me start focusing a little bit more on this person that I want to spend my
Right.
life with.
But like we say, if you love that person and you know they already had the business, or when you got together they were going to start the business, that's where you need to adjust and be that support system, because it's going to be long hours. You can sit down and talk about, here's what it takes for me to get my business off the ground. Here's what it takes for me to get to the point where we can spend more time together, and I can step back from the business a little when I hire help, or whatever the case may be. But that's when the other party should be the support system. Like, yeah, baby, I'm going to support you. I'm here for you. I know, our relationship, we won't get to spend as much time together. I understand that. But this is your passion. This is what I knew from the very beginning. So I'm going to be here for you, whatever you need from me.
But baby,
that's when,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, that's when, like you said, your mind has to shift. That's when you need to be there. When you talk about a relationship or even a marriage, about supporting your spouse, or it's about supporting the one you love, how do you go about doing that? Sometimes it is taking that part where you don't get to spend much time together, and you support them in that. Say, baby, I understand we don't get to spend much time together, and I understand that because of the business, but I'm still here for you. I'm still supporting you, whatever you need from me. You can't just get mad and say the business, you're spending more time with this business than you are with me, especially if you knew that they were starting the business, or if you knew they already had the business.
But babe,
you need to be supportive.
Sometimes they don't know though. So, because we were talking about, they got the business and you feel like they're putting all their time in the business. And sometimes when you start a business, like when I started my business, this business, I had no idea it was going to take this much time and effort. I thought owning your business was going to be a little easy. Like once I got everything set up, it was going to be smooth sailing. But think about when I first started, you would come home and look at me like, you still working? You didn't even get up and give me a kiss. You still in your PJs? Like you didn't understand at first either. So there is.
Right. But I didn't turn around and say, you know what? You need to forget this business because you're spending more time in the business than you are with me.
And that's true, but it took you a little while. So what we're talking about is people giving their mate grace. So sometimes you got to give them grace. You got, but you, like you said too, babe, you got to have a conversation about it. So I want to shift a minute right now and talk about Bill and Melinda Gates. Okay, so they just got well, they not too long ago got a divorce. And so someone just recently interviewed Bill Gates, and he was saying that he would marry Melinda again. And they were like really shocked that he made that comment. And so he says that he still recommends marriage, and and they had a very amicable
Yeah.
divorce.
And you know what's funny? She signed a prenuptial agreement, and he still gave her money because she was there supporting him. See, now that's what I'm talking about. She understood what it would take for him to get all of that going, and she stood by him and supported him during
Right.
that time. So
But
he had no problem saying, I'll marry her all over again. I'll give her all this money. I have no problem with that because she was there when I was getting it off the ground. She was there when I started making billions or billions or whatever it is. She was there supporting him.
but
And they had children together. And you have to take that into consideration. When one of the parties is getting a business going, it may take the other person to do more with the kids, to get them ready and to do things with them while the other person is getting that business together. It takes both of you. It takes both of you to do your part so everything can be successful. I mean, successful in business, successful in marriage, successful in family. It takes both parties, and everyone has to do their part. And like I always say, you may have to sacrifice and do more of a certain part than you're used to, but that's maybe what it takes to be successful.
right. But what I want to add to that is that I have a feeling that Bill Gates was so busy working in his business that him and Melinda forgot to stay connected. And I believe that they drifted apart because in that interview, he says that he does not regret saying I do with Melinda. He doesn't regret marrying her at all. And he said he would do it all over again.
Right.
But then he also said that every marriage, when the kids leave the house, every marriage goes through a transition. And he said his sadly went through that transition. So what happens a lot of times is that when you're married, you're so busy doing your career, you're doing your business, you're doing the kids, you're doing life, you're doing volunteer work, you're doing philanthropy work, you're out in the community, you're spending time with family and friends, and you forget the most important relationship in your life, and that's the one with your spouse. And I honestly feel, and I don't know for sure, I'm just guesstimating, that this is what happened to Bill and Melinda. Because why would Bill Gates mention that about going through this transition when the kids left the house?
Right.
And
And
so,
I was gonna say, baby, and he did say that they kind of grew apart. And what do we always say? If you're not growing together, then what are you doing?
right.
You're growing apart. And he said that he believes that they grew apart. And see, sometimes all it takes is a conversation for the two of you to get back on the same page. If they would have had a conversation maybe, and he maybe explained to her, well, this is what it's going to take, and this is what I'm doing here. I didn't forget about you.
And the thing that gets me too, like they said something about they did a lot of work on their relationship, and they had a lot of thought, but they still made the decision to end their marriage. And Melinda they had a joint statement that said something like they didn't feel like they could grow to their next phase in their life.
Right.
Um, they needed space, so that they didn't believe they could grow together as a couple in their next phase of life. And that's so sad, because you should be able to grow as a man, as a woman, as a wife, as a husband. Even when you're married, you should be able to grow into that next phase of your life. They're both at that almost at that retirement age. They're at that empty nest age. They're at that age where they're coming into kind of being like an older, not a middle-aged couple, but kind of sort of, middle age, yeah, because they're in their 50s and 60s. And so they're at that stage of life where you are going to have a shift in your life. And honey, we've talked to couples who got to that stage in life, and they're just like deer in headlights. They don't know what to do now that the kids are gone. They don't know what to do now that they are retired. They don't know
Right.
what to do now that they're in their 50s and 60s. And even though they said they did some work on their relationship, I honestly think, wonder if they really talked about their goals individually and talk about having some shared goals together and
Right.
having a vision for their future as an older couple, as an
I was going to
elder
say,
couple.
did they even
Yeah,
have that conversation
yeah, right.
about when the kids are older and gone? What are we going to do then? Where do we go? They might not even have that conversation. I mean, we don't know for a fact, but if they grew apart or they felt they couldn't grow together no more to that next level where they need to be, did they even have that conversation before that happened?
I
Because
doubt it.
sometimes it takes a conversation way before that saying, look, when we get to this next stage of our life, because you figure the first stage, you may get married, where are we going to live, what are we going to do? Then the kids come along. Then that's the next stage, raising the kids, then maybe starting a business, then have you had that conversation about, okay, what's going to happen when the business is going good, the kids are grown and everyone's out, then where do we go?
Right.
What do we do?
Babe, I don't think they had that conversation. Most couples don't think that far ahead into their future. They don't talk about their future vision, their future goals. They don't talk about where they want to go in life together as a couple. They don't talk about what they're going to do in retirement. They don't
Yeah,
talk about what they're going to do when the kids leave the home. They don't talk about, what they want to start doing when they finally leave that job. They don't
yeah,
talk about how they're going to shift now that they are older. Most couples don't talk about it. They
right.
just kind of let life happen. Now, I know
And
there's
that's,
some couples
I was
who
gonna
do
say,
like us, we did, but
right, and that's why a lot of couples, when the children are grown and out the house, now they feel they're not connected because now they don't have nothing in common, and they don't talk as much now that the kids are gone because their life was focused around the children and raising the children the whole time. And now that the children are gone out the house and you're empty nesters, then what do you do? See, we talked about how we wanted to travel, how we wanted to visit every 50 states, how we just wanted to come and go and do what we wanted to do.
we even talked about sitting on the porch and rocking chairs. I mean, that's my vision. That ain't your vision, but I know if we buy the rocking chairs and we put them on the porch and I'm sitting out there, you're going to come out there and join me. So, we talked about what I like to do when I'm older and really retired and just, we're just chilling as older people. We talked about the little things. Sometimes we might talk about the big things, but we have to talk about the little things too. We talked about going for a walk, just gently strolling around the neighborhood, holding hands because we're older. We don't want to be old and stiff. We don't want to be
Right.
old and super overweight. We
And
don't want
have
to be
to maybe
old and
using a
can't walk
walker and
around.
can't get around.
Yeah,
Right.
right. We talked about all of that. But then we're in this industry, this business of relationships. So of course we're going to talk about a little bit more than others. But I did want to clarify something that you said, babe. I did read an article that Bill and Melinda Gates did not have a prenuptial agreement. So I don't want somebody to watch this video and say James said they had a prenup, but I heard they
Um,
didn't. But they did not. They amicably divorced and they amicably um, decided on how they were going to spread the money,
and you
separate
know what?
the
And all that says is they um that they probably still loved each other. There was no hard feelings. Because a lot of people when they end the relationship for that they've been in for a while, sometimes it's hard feelings. Sometimes there's resentment. Sometimes the person gets defensive, and next thing you know, they can't even talk to each other. But when you look at say the Gates, they both agree that what, there's no hard feelings here. We probably still have love for each other. Maybe we're just not in love, and it's time that we do our own thing, and there's no hard feelings, and we can still talk, and we can still be friends.
right. And what they do, because Bill Gates said he still loves his wife and he would marry her again. But again, like I said, what probably happened, honey, Bill probably didn't nurture. I don't want to blame Bill. I'm not blaming him, but he probably didn't nurture that marriage. He was so busy being a businessman, a mogul. He was busy. And Melinda probably didn't maybe she shared with him how she felt, but maybe she didn't verbalize it. Like we women, we might complain like, you're always going, you're always busy. I never see you. But you don't literally say, babe, I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. You're a mogul. You're pulled in many different directions. But I'm your wife, and I really want us to spend some quality time together. How can we put a date night on the books? How can we spend some quality time together so we don't lose each other?
Right.
They have that type of conversation.
Right. Even before that, they can say, let's have a conversation about, when we get older, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? When the kids are gone, then what are we going to do? And you and I always talk about all the time about vision. What is your vision for your 5 years? What is your vision for maybe 10 years? When you say you start a business, okay, my vision is to start a business. You understand that? Okay, I know you're going to start a business. That means you'll be real busy and we might not have as much time together as we normally have. I understand that. Fine. Now you start the business. Then the next conversation is, okay, what happens when this business really gets going? Then what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So it's always about keeping those lines of communications open and talk about what happens when this 5 years, 10 years, because like I always say, people always talk about leveling up, and I always say going from here to there. Where you are now is here. You want to go there. So if you get married, you start a family, you're here. Then you want to start a business. You want to go there. Then when you get there and you start that business, that becomes your here. Now you want to go there. Where's the next there once you start that business? Maybe it's to have employees. Maybe it's to have it running where you don't have to do as much. Okay, that's there. Then when you get there, the business is off the ground, running. You have people working it. You don't have to work it as much. You're making money. Now, where is there? Where is that next level?
And that's probably what happened with Melinda and Bill Gates. I'm sure Bill didn't have to go into the office every day. I'm sure he played a whole lot of golf. He did a whole lot of hanging out at the country club during the day, probably meeting people for business deals. But I would love to know how often he actually took the time to say, you know what, I'm going to take my wife to dinner today. You know what, I'm going to take my wife, meet my wife for lunch. You know what, I'm going to let me get up this morning and have the chef make breakfast for me and Melinda. We sit outside on the patio and enjoy it. Taria Haas said, so true, James. There's always another level to unlock. I like that. Thank you, Taria.
But the thing is, baby, all we can do is speculate. We don't know if they had those conversations. All we can do is go on the things we've learned, the things we teach people, and what we taught, and just can assume that, that this wouldn't have happened if they would have had those conversations.
That's true. And the thing that burns me up, we believe that any marriage can work it out. And they called it quits, but they're amicable. They got an amicable divorce. They separated the money amicably, and they'll probably still stay friends. And they both are still going to be working in their foundation together. So what is it that I would love to know, what is it that Melinda really needed that made her feel like she had to walk away from her marriage? Did she feel alone? Did she feel like there's some things she want to do in life? Like your husband couldn't help you with that. Your husband couldn't support you in that. I mean, it's just mind boggling to me. But
right, because in the interview, neither one of them ever said it was infidelity involved or a trust issue. They never talked about non-trust or infidelity or none of that.
Nope, never. And so I can't wait to see what Melinda's actually doing in her next phase of life, as she likes to call it. She says, she just didn't feel like they could grow together in this next phase of their lives. Like, what is Bill Gates going to do different?
It makes you think that maybe she wanted to go off and do some business venture or some venture without him to see if she could do it. He done made his money doing what he does. Now she may feel that it's time for her to go off and do what she wants to do. But
Mm-hmm.
don't you think that if she would have had that conversation with him, he would have supported her? He would have stood by her? That's what couples do. Even if, and that's why we always say communication. Because maybe if a couple say one has a business and the business is successful, now the other feels, you know what? It's successful in it. Now it's time for in business. But conversation with your spouse, with your mate, say, you know what? Here's what I want to try next. If you have that conversation, they should support you. If you're a couple that always has conversations, if you're a couple that, you're there for each other. And I'm not saying Bill and Melinda, they weren't there for each other, but it's about having those conversations and say, here's what I want to try to do.
Right.
Are you with me?
And another point I want to make too, people try to act like marriage is everything. I mean, money is everything in a marriage. And look at them. They had billions and still couldn't make their marriage work. Look at all the celebrities and wealthy people who split up. And so when it makes me think about people are married and they fight over money. And are they fighting over money because one is spending too much, or one is they're not saving enough, or one is not making enough? And it makes me think about these women who I'm not putting anybody down or judging anybody, but what I'm saying is, I hear a lot of women say they're not going to marry a man who makes less money than them. But at the end of the day, the money doesn't make any, that is not what makes the difference, is what you do with the money. So say you do marry a man who makes less money than you are paying the bills before you married him anyway. If you love that person, you find a way to make it work. They balance you in another way that has nothing to do with money. Like I'll never forget. I know someone's married to a guy, and he didn't really have a job. He was in and out of jobs. But guess what? When she came home from work, she had her bath water ran, dinner was cooked, the house was clean, and she was loving it. And people were judging her and putting her down. But maybe that's what she needed in her life at that time.
Right. You know what? And it makes me think of this movie with Taraji P. Henson. I can't think of the name now, where he was an inventor and he wanted to get his invention off the ground, and she was paying all the bills. She took a mortgage out on her mama's house. She was paying everything. And all he was doing,
She ended up losing her mother's house.
I think it was called acrimony, maybe something like that. But and her family was putting it in her head that this guy's a bum. His business, his invention, his business is never going to get off the ground. You're paying all the bills. You don't need him. So she ended up leaving him. And what happens? The invention blows up. He gets his business off the ground. Now he becomes a millionaire. He gives her money. He tells her, baby, I'm sorry all this happened. He gave her he paid for her mother's house in full and gave it back to her. He gave her all this money and he moved on, and she got mad and wanted to kill the new wife he was with because she felt that should have been her life. But to put that into, say, reality, she knew he didn't have a job. She knew he was trying to get that business off the ground or that invention off the ground. And she was paying all the bills. So why get mad when you leave him because his business or invention doesn't get off the ground right away, and you get mad because when it gets off the ground and he starts making all this money, now you feel it should be yours. If you would have had that conversation, he tried to explain it to her. So if she would have been more supportive and had that conversation and not let her family get into her head about her paying all the bills, then it would have worked out. He tried to sit down and have a conversation with her, but she didn't want to hear that then.
That is so true. That is so true. And babe, also, it made me think about too. Taria made a comment. She says what she's learning is that it's all about value. Sometimes people really just don't have value alignment. And Taria, that is why James and I, when we work with couples, and also at the beginning of every year, we have what we call Vision and Goals Party. Our party is not about just writing out your goals for the year. We talk about vision, and we actually go over core values for the couples, and we have them do a core value exercise. And from that core value, we help them write out a vision for their marriage, or a vision for that year, or a vision for their future, wherever they're at right now. So, like if you're new to our class, you write a vision for your marriage. If you've done it before, you write a vision for that year on what you want to accomplish in your marriage, in your life that year. So, core values are very, very
Right.
important.
Because like Taria said, when she talk about values, and you could ask a couple, what do you value more? The relationship or that person's business, where
Their
you want
money,
them to
what's in
make
their
all this
pocket,
money? You know, do you put do you value the money that they're making ahead of your relationship, of the two of you being together?
right?
What's more important to you? When you think of values, think of what is most important to you. What can you not live without? And it should be that relationship. It should be y'all being on the same page so you can grow together.
There you go. There you go. So, what we're actually talking about and learning today is that when a couple has someone in the family has a business, or if you've got a really busy career, don't forget about your mate. Don't put them on the back burner. Don't put your business before your relationship. If you're new in a relationship, it should be a conversation from the beginning about how you work in your business, what that looks like for you, and then talk about what kind of shift you're willing to make
Right.
time for that person in your life. And if you're already married and you start a business, talk about how, and I don't like the word balance, but how you're going to have a good mix of a good healthy interrelationship with the business and
Right.
your marriage and all the other things you have in
And,
your
and,
life. How are
and,
you
and
going
like
to
you said, you
schedule
even
your
have to talk about each party's role in it, because once you start a business, that other person's role, say, might increase with taking care of the home, taking care of the kids, and yours might decrease because you're trying to get that business off the ground.
right?
You got to have, like we always say, roles and responsibilities. You have to talk about roles and responsibilities. Okay, if I'm starting this business, what is going to be, if you're starting a business together, what's going to be the role in the business? Well, maybe one person is better at finances than the other. Maybe they can do more of the accounting piece, more of, the accounts payable and accounts receivable piece, just handling the books because they're better at finances. So you always have to talk about your roles and responsibilities. What is going to be my role? What am I going to be responsible for? Because if it's one party in a relationship that's starting a business, your role may be to take care of home more, because
Right.
that person's going to be really busy trying to get that business off the ground, or really busy trying to make that business work. And you got to think of it in the long run. Just like we always say about vision in long run, you will benefit in the long run when that business starts booming. Just think for a minute that you're starting a business and it's going to take a while. And now your role and your responsibility have changed. You got to take the kids more to soccer practice, football practice, cheerleading, gymnastics, whatever the case may be, while they're working the business. But when that business gets off the ground and you start making, the money and have the success that you want, you both benefit from it.
Yeah, people always talk about living my best life, or living the life I've always dreamed of when they have a business. And everybody looks forward to that day when you don't have to work so hard in your business, and you can have that free time to do what you
Right.
want when you want. So I want to know, you guys, does who on this show watching today has a business, or your spouse has a business, or your girlfriend or boyfriend has a business, and let us know. Put a 1 in the group if that's working well for you guys, or put a 2 in the group if it's been a source of contention. Like,
Is Tashika on?
I'm not sure if Tashika's on right this second.
Okay. Because
Uh,
I wanted to ask her, how does she handle, the business and her personal, because I know she has children. They're not older yet. How does she balance that? But she's not on, so that's fine.
well, I see my cousin Donald is on, and he has a business, and he has a wife and a brand new baby. And so, Donald, can you post in the group and let us know how you and your wife balance business? Like, how does that work? Is that working for you? Because I believe she has a business too. But how do you guys balance that? Is it working for you guys. Y'all talk about your roles and responsibilities to keep, make sure your marriage stays good and make sure that you have a healthy marriage and a healthy business relationship going on.
Right.
Like,
Because
share with us how that's working for you. And so we want to know if you have a marriage story, whether it's some struggles you went through and in the business and career piece of it, or if it was just something personal like family issues, infidelity issues, health issues. If you have a marriage story, something that you went through that in your life or your spouse's life or the both of you's lives that affected your marriage, and you went through a really tough patch, but by the grace of God, you turned it around and worked it out. And now you have an amazing marriage. Not that it's perfect, but you worked through that issue. We want to hear your marriage story. So, and we're doing a book anthology, and we want you to be a part of it. So email
right.
us at info@marriagebuilttolast.com. Email us at info@marriagebuilttolast.com. And we want to hear about your marriage story and
Right. Because
see if you are a good fit
right,
for.
because we always say your story matters. And the word says we overcome by our testimonies. Your testimony actually helps other people. So we feel that your story is important because we know every couple, I mean, even though it may be great now, every couple been through something or going through something or have gone through something. And and maybe your story needs to be told to help other couples. We truly believe that helping other couples is the key. Because Cynthia and I always say, if we can just help one couple and that may be headed to a divorce and we save their marriage, we've done our job. So you can be a part of that by this book anthology, because trust me, someone who may be going through something right now, they could read your story and it could help them overcome it. It could help them make it. It could turn their marriage around. But they won't know that if they haven't read your story. Because see, a lot of times people think that, what they're going through, that they're the only ones that ever been through it, or they're the only ones that are going through it. That's because they may not have talked to people who have gone through it, or they may not have spoken to anyone, to get ideas on helping them overcome it or helping them go through it. So they always feel they're in it alone. A lot of times, I know from my age growing up, if you're going through something, you don't really want to talk about it because we were taught, whatever goes on in this house stays in this house. If we're having problems, it stays in this house. You don't go out in them streets and talk about what's going on in your home. But nowadays, things have changed. Things have shifted. You may want to talk about it so you can help someone else. See, this is a matter of helping. This is a matter of overcoming. This is a matter of healing. People talk about healing. How can you heal through something that you may have gone through or something that you're going through? How can you heal if you don't know how? Hearing somebody else's story can help you heal. Hearing somebody else's story can help you overcome. Hearing somebody else's story can help you make it through it, to come out on the other side. And when you come out on the other side, you're stronger. You're more prepared for other things to come. You're a stronger you're a stronger team. Now it's the two of you against the world, not just you against the world, maybe him against the world or her against the world. Now it's the two of you against the world. Because it says one can defeat 1,000, but two can defeat 10,000. How can you defeat that if you're not doing it together? And how do you do it together? By maybe hearing someone else's story that'll help you come together so you can work through it together.
That's so true. Because, I hope that Melinda Gates writes a book about her and Bill's story. And I just believe in my heart that they could have worked things out had they really sat down and talk about their individual goals and then their joint goals as a couple of where they want to be and where they want to go in life individually and together, and then come up with some guidelines, a plan, a strategy, some SMART goals on how
Yeah.
to reach them. And I think that they would still be together because, like you
Right.
said, babe, they still love each other.
Right. And when you think of them smart goals, you think of when Bill was starting to be successful. Did they celebrate them mini goals together? We always say, when you set long-term goals and when you start achieving the goals, even celebrate the small wins. You can celebrate, if you want to start a business, you can celebrate getting your EIN number. That's a win right there because now you done laid the foundation. Or if you're starting an LLC, once you start the LLC and you file for it, celebrate that win because now you have established a business. And then as you start growing, celebrate along the way because when you celebrate, that keeps the two of you closer together. Now you're celebrating together on, even though it's maybe one person's business, you're celebrating it together. And then I always say it's a team. Once one person's in the business, the other person's in the business automatically because y'all are together. Y'all are a team. Even though one person may run the business, you're there as a support system. We watch movies all the time that talks about when a couple, maybe one has a book that made millions or started a business that made millions and the other person wasn't heavily involved. And then when they get divorced, the person that wasn't heavily involved feel they deserve half of everything because I was there when you started that business. I was there for you to bounce ideas off of. I was there helping you. Even though I wasn't in the business, I was your support system. So you don't think I deserve, and we see them type of movies all the time. They feel they deserve half because even though they weren't in the business, they were the support system.
Do you
They were
agree
there
with
with
that?
them.
Do you agree
Huh?
with it? Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. You feel like they deserve half?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Because you and I always teach couples, if one starts a business, they're in it together no matter what.
Right. So look, you know a movie that we saw that represent that, the one with Janet Jackson and Marcus, what's his name?
No. Why Did I Get Married? When she wrote the book and he wanted more of the money, even though she wrote the book, she went around speaking, she did all of that. He felt he deserved half of that because he was there with her. He supported her and he told her, all these ideas you bounced off of me. And we always talk about a marriage as a team of we.
That's right.
So if one starts a business, we are in this together.
Right, whether you're
So
working
to me,
in it or not.
yes. He did deserve some of the proceeds from that.
I agree. I agree.
Because you got to remember, they had a son and all of that. And when she was working late nights and working all the time, who would take care of the son? He was. And we say that he made that sacrifice to do that so she can be successful. They're in it together.
And that's another story where, where the business was a thorn in their side. I mean, he supported her, but when that time came, she wanted to keep the business separate from the marriage. And it's all intertwined, it's all in one. And
that shows right there, they didn't know how to balance business and marriage.
Right.
That was a poor example of balancing business and marriage.
Right, absolutely. Well, when they were married, it sounds like he supported her, but in her mind, it was still her business.
The key was the child. There was an accident, the child got killed, and I don't know if they were blaming each other. That played a lot of part into it, but we took that out of it just to show the business part of it, the business and marriage part of it.
Right. So in his mind, he was supporting her and he was there with her during her business, but in her mind, he might have been there, but he wasn't a part of the business. And it doesn't matter if his wife works in the business. You don't have to work in the business for that still to be
because
you're one.
Right, but when you look at that movie and they were at the divorce table, Janet Jackson came out and said, "You didn't write one word of this book. I wrote this book. I went on the speaking tours. I did all of this. You did not do one thing." So that's how she put. Go ahead.
So, babe, that's how we differ. The very first book in our business, I wrote that book alone. I started writing that book before we were ever even dating or, in each other's lives like that. I had that book
right.
Already.
But what do we always say? We always say that we have two bestsellers.
That's right. We do.
And I tell people, my wife wrote this book. I didn't write this book, but when we talk about it, we say we have 2 books. We have 2 bestsellers.
That's
We
right.
do say we.
Because you and I, we is one, baby. We is one. All right. So, babe, we're going to get ready to jump off here. We haven't been on here for an hour and a long time. We've been getting off in about 30 minutes, at the most 45. But we're going to go ahead and jump off here. We want to thank all of our guests for joining us. It's so good to see you on here today, Crystal. Hey, Myron. Oh, my gosh. I'll call him Keith, but hey, thank you for jumping on the broadcast today. Thank you for jumping on Donald, Taria, Takesha. Yeah, Takesha. There were some other people on Anita. I can't scroll all the way up, but yeah, so we want to thank our guests for jumping on today. You guys hit that share button. People can still go back and watch the replay. Somebody needs to hear this stuff about business. It's so sad when we let the things of life get in the way of our relationships and end up breaking up. And people need to know this stuff in advance so that it doesn't happen to them. Again, that's why we're writing this book. We're writing a book for couples by couples, and we're telling our stories of things we went through in our marriage, but then we're celebrating and sharing how we made it on the other side, and now we have an amazing marriage. And so if you have a story to tell, send us an email at info@marriagebuilttolast.com, and we're going to see if you are a good fit for the book. We only have a few slots left, you guys. We got some amazing people who are going to be in this book, some who are on this watching today. But you guys, we want to thank you guys for joining us today. You have any last words, babe?
Good.
All right. So remember, if
you build it,
it will last.
It will last.
There you go. We could have said it again. Let's try it again. Remember, come on. If you build it. Oh, we can't say it together.
Right, because we're not in the same room. So stop playing.
All right, you guys. So like we said in the beginning, James and I, we're in 2 separate places. I miss you, babe. I'll be home tomorrow. And we forgot to say at the beginning of the show, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Right. And I always say happy birthday to all the mothers, the bonus mothers, the godmothers, and every woman who's a mother figure.
That's right. You say that, babe. And for you women who have a child and you're not with the father and he's with another woman, if that woman is being good to your child, treat that woman right. When you treat her right, she's just going to make her treat your child right even more. But there's a lot of us bonus moms, because I'm one too, that no matter how the baby mama is acting, we're going to treat that child right regardless. Stop fussing and fighting if you're in a blended family, if you're co-parenting. Find a way to get along for the sake of the child. You're going to look back on it when you're old and gray and be like, I don't know why I went through all of that with that woman. She was good to my child. She was a nice person. So even if they're not, stop fussing and fighting and causing confusion around that child. Y'all, have a wonderful Mother's Day. God bless you. We'll see you next Saturday. We're still going to be talking about love and business, when love meets marriage, when marriage meets love, and love meets business, and all that good stuff. Have a good evening. God bless you all.
All right.
Bye.